Google Pixel 6 Review has a lot to offer for an affordable price. The Google Pixel 6 gets a lot right, and on the whole, you get excellent hardware and software for a reasonable price. However, the question is largely whether the design is a step in the wrong direction or not. A new dawn has arrived for Google's own brand Pixel phones, and with the 2021 models receiving a design and hardware overhaul, they aim to be the firm's most flagshippy flagships to date. The regular Pixel 6 on test here is on sale now and starts at a more than reasonable $599/$599, arriving with new cameras, Android 12, and Google's own Tensor processor. There's a lot of good stuff that's gone into this phone, but the design is more divisive than any other Pixel and may well result in many fans going elsewhere. Gone, it seems, are the days of the standard Pixel being one of the most compact and easy-to-handle phones on the market. There's no two ways about it, the Pixel 6 is a chunky boy, and this is despite being the smaller option from Google this year. I should probably address the elephant in the room first, meaning that their camera bar, a camera bump so astronomically large it warranted its own name, although I'm not sure Google drawing attention to it like this is the best strategy. If you don't mind a phone on the hefty side, then the Pixel 6 does at least feel premium despite its mid-range price. There's Gorilla Glass Victus on the front and Gorilla Glass 6 on the back, sandwiching an aluminium frame. The result is luxurious, but if you don't use a case, there's the usual issue of smudges on the glass back, although there is supposedly a fingerprint-resistant coating, but the glossy finish is more of a problem in terms of how slippery the Pixel 6 is. It certainly feels precarious and worry-inducing when not protected. Quirky design out of the way, we can turn to the 6.4 inches display next, which is, of course, one of the reasons the Pixel 6 is a lot bigger than before. The Pixel 5 used a 6 inches screen and had a slightly better screen-to-body ratio, too. The display is flat rather than having curved edges, and this results in a bigger bezel. Sure, the look isn't fully-fledged flagship in this respect, but Google is asking a mid-range price and the quality of the screen is very good indeed. The OLED screen offers 24-bit color and is very vibrant in this respect. The resolution is plenty high enough, and I measured peak brightness at an impressive 494 nits. Furthermore, contrast is excellent and there's HDR support, too. With a full HD plus resolution, things are perfectly crisp here, and smooth thanks to a 90 Hz refresh rate, which is fast enough for most, especially if you're coming from a standard 60 Hz phone. A big change for the Pixel range this year is found under the hood. It's been known that Google would move from Qualcomm to its own chip for a long time, and it comes in the form of the Tensor processor. Google hasn't gone into too much detail about the specs of the chip, choosing to focus on what it can do instead. Tensor is mainly about using machine learning and AI to enable features like live translate and cope with various other tasks better. It's coupled with the Titan M2 security coprocessor. In terms of memory, the Pixel 6 comes with 8 GB of LPDDR5 RAM and 128 GB of speedy UFS 3.1 storage. However, in some markets like the US and Australia, you can get the Pixel 6 with 256 GB of capacity. As usual, there's no microSD card slot for expansion. Google is perhaps talking about what the Tensor chip can do in terms of features rather than raw performance because it doesn't benchmark particularly well. Then again, there's some truth to Google's argument that benchmarks are, as we often point out, synthetic and don't always reflect real-world usage. I was able to shoot and edit a 4K/60 FPS video with minimal hassle, with the phone only taking a couple of seconds to load the editor, and while it drops the resolution to do things like scrub it pings back to full res quickly. With the arrival of the camera bar, it's no surprise that the Pixel 6 phones have been given an overhaul in the photography department after using the same 12MP sensor for a number of years. The main sensor now jumps to 50MP, and although the ultra-wide camera drops from 16MP on the Pixel 5 to 12MP here, it's wider angle and uses larger 1.25 micrometers pixels. It's just those two at the back. The Pro has a 48MP telephoto camera featuring 4x optical zoom, leaving an 8MP hole-punch camera at the front for selfies. Google has made improvements in this area, and you'd think so considering the size increase of the device versus the Pixel 5. The battery inside the Pixel 6 is now minimum 4,524 mAh, around 11% larger, although we've seen bigger cells in more compact phones. I've found battery life to be excellent, and even with more usage than would be typical for me, the phone still lasted 2 days, and without using the extreme battery saver. Even heavy users should be able to comfortably get through a day. In the PCMark Work 3.0 battery test, the Pixel 6 managed a respectable 10 hours and 38 minutes. With a new set of flagship phones come a new version of Android, and we're up to 12 now, with the sweet treat names in the distant past. It's one of the biggest refreshes to the mobile OS in a while, bringing a new design language that Google calls Material U, as well as a range of other tweaks and improvements. Material U is the biggest change, as it allows the UI to dynamically change the color scheme based on your personality, or in practical terms, your choice of wallpaper. It can analyze the image and decide what is a dominant tone and what are complementary highlights. This will then be reflected across the phone, from the color of your clock to the quick settings and more. You'll even see it on the keyboard and in apps like the calculator and camera. There is some control, as you can choose from 4 different, but similar, color schemes or switch to basic colors if you prefer. There's also the option to switch on themed icons, which makes them fit into the design, although it's in beta at the moment and only applies to Google's own apps, so looks a bit half-finished if you put other apps on the main home screen. The Pixel 6 comes in at $599/$599, which gets you 128 GB of storage. That's the same price and storage as the Pixel 5. Some markets, including the US, also get a 256 GB model, but this is only available in the stormy black and sorta seafoam colors, for $699. As well as the Google Store, you can buy it from a range of retailers and networks, including EE, Vodafone, O2, 3, Keys, Argos and Amazon. In the US, you can buy the Pixel 6 from AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, Walmart, Best Buy, Newegg, Target and Amazon.